Welcome back to SwitchCorner. Today it's time for us to take a look at what's coming up over this next week on the Switch. And well, yes, I will admit last week was a complete miss for the most part. This week is looking really good to me with a number of games I have absolutely every intention of adding to my library. Now, as always, I don't cover everything here, just those that are catching my eye. So if I do miss anything, let me know in the comments down below. With that though, hit subscribe if you love the Switch as much as we all do here. Join our growing family and let's get started. First up, CHRONOS Before the Ashes. It drops on December 1st. This one's not on the eShop just yet, but I promise you it is coming. I just have no idea on pricing. Here we're getting an RPG surrounding a hero who sets out to save their homeland from evil. It's also a prequel to a game by the name of Remnant from the Ashes, and this one saw a VR release already, which did receive very favourable reviews. Expect here Souls-like combat, a mechanic where you age 1 year every time you die, and then a big old labyrinth full of monsters to explore. Empire of Sin next, and this one I am definitely excited for. I'm seriously hopeful and in some ways kind of like a tiny bit wary. The tactical strategy genre is just so difficult to translate to controller, so here I want to see how performance really holds up. I want to see if it's only going to be docked players. There seems to be a ton of small icons and text, but yeah, I'm going to be going day one for sure. With this one though, expect to find yourself in Prohibition era Chicago, where you get the choice of 14 mob bosses, and then you'll set out to build your empire from taking down your enemies to just simply establishing your business. So think things like speakeasies and casinos. Really excited. I love the price. This could have easily been, a AAA price point, and I think they've been very fair. Shiren the Wanderer, the Tower of Fortune and Dice of Fate has a hell of a long name first of all, but this one for sure piqued my curiosity. It seems it was a Vita and DS game originally, but I've never played it myself. All signs point to it being though a well-loved roguelike experience, telling the tale of a tower to conquer. You'll basically work your way through what appears to be procedurally generated levels and then take out tons of monsters on the way. I'm going to be checking out reviews myself on this one. I for sure like the look of it, and if you played the original, it's also bringing to the table 3 new dungeons, additional music, and then also had a live display mode, which appears to be a new visual output that's created for streaming, and that's kind of, I gotta say, a cool idea. Another big one for me here, Sam & Max Save the World. It's created by Telltale Games before they, of course, closed down sadly. This, though, is very much their usual affair, a 6-episode adventure, but here we're going to be getting them all in one bundle. These guys, they've had a comic book strip and all sorts, and it started back in the late 80s, but we basically get here a dog and a rabbit thing team of detectives out to solve a few mysteries, or in the case of this one, save the world. Point and click gaming is something I will always check out, so I'm excited to see just how this remaster has turned out as we tackle the case of former child stars that are running amok in the streets thanks to what appears to be a little bit of hypnotism. Sam & Max have always had a weird sense of humour, and that's very much the case here. I enjoyed it though on the 360 back in the day, and now I'm just looking forward to seeing how this one does and what this remaster is really bringing along with it. Morbid, the 7 Acolytes, and this one is an isometric self-described horror punk action RPG, and that sounds badass to me. It's taking influence from Lovecraft for its monster design, then just to really top things off. Promising Souls-like combats, I think a stamina system, and then some seriously gory action, and yeah, definitely excited to check this one out. The story, an evil force has taken over the 7 Acolytes. You must now take them out to save the land. It's kind of throwaway stuff, no doubt, but honestly, promising quests, perks, runes, upgrades and loot. You don't really need more other than a decent excuse to hack and slash your way through this horde. This one actually isn't a recommendation from me, but rather a warning. Liberated Enhanced Edition seems to be bringing 2 new chapters to its story in the form of this re-release and what appears to also be a free patch for those of us that picked up the game already. I played this one back on release. I actually reviewed it on the channel. I found it extremely average with more than a few bugs and some very easy exploits. For example, if you stand far enough away from an enemy, they just won't shoot you at all, as if you didn't even exist. I'd watch reviews on this one first, but then there's also a lot of praise out there as well, so I'm not sure they were playing the same game as me. Absolute Drift Sen edition now, and I love the visual style of this one, and reviews out there, they are really good because it's been actually on iPhones, Android and Steam for around 5 years at this point. The idea is simple, as you probably guessed by the name. You're going to be drifting your way around this minimalist world while facing challenges across 3 different game modes. We've got SwitchCorner, drifting and then mountain drifting, combines to make a total of 34 levels. Then on top of all of this, you'll also get 5 free roaming areas, and perhaps most interestingly for me, 3 hours of electronic music made specifically for the game. I'm sure this is going to be one of those easy to pick up, difficult to master experiences, but for sure it is my vibe. My only concern on the iPhone, it's about 1/10 of this price, and on Steam it is half this price even after the 20% launch discount. I know it's old elsewhere, but I don't know, I still kind of find that difficult to digest. No doubt the biggest game of the week then, maybe even the month, Immortals Fenyx Rising. This one seems to be what happens if Assassin's Creed and Breath of the Wild, they had like a baby, and that's definitely not a bad starting point. Footage that I've seen though over the last couple of days, it looks great, and I'd suggest here check out SwitchUp's review from Mark that dropped today. It seems there was like a day 1 patch, or in the last like 48 hours or so, and they took the time to go back and check it out with all of that in place. And that's at the cost of, releasing when a lot of like other publications, other channels would have just went ahead. That's something I respect, because it can be painful missing those launch windows. I can promise you that. I've been there, but doing this, it's absolutely worth it, because we will be able to see exactly what we're getting for our cash. Alright, so PHOGS, and I think I'm saying that right, this is definitely a bit different. A game where you control a 2-headed dog and you navigate what seems to be mazes with a ton of obstacles along the way. While this one does indeed have single player, I think it's fair to say it's intended for co-op, as you control 1 head each, either local or online. I always like a multiplayer experience that tries something just a little bit different, and this kind of reminds me of a game that I reviewed earlier in the year called Biped. This though has definitely a ton more colour. I love the visual design of this world, and I'm hoping for something here that's going to be, good for any age group, so it's going to be a good one for the family. Fitness Boxing 2 Rhythm and Exercise, yeah, I'll keep this quick. I presume it's more of the same, and the first one got some decent reviews during quarantine though, and everything else. This will probably have a few more, eyes on it and gain a bit more attention than you may expect. It even promises single player workouts as well as co-op, which is actually kind of a cool idea. The overall idea of the game though, punch to the beat of the music, and the eShop, it breaks down a number of music tracks included. Definitely has a heavy focus on pop. If you like the idea though, check out the free demo that's available on the eShop right now. Wick Hex then, a action strategy game based on the movies. So far this has already come out on Steam and PS4, so it's for sure easy to find out what to expect, and the reviews I've seen generally positive. This comes with a top-down viewpoint, and it's basically a spin on turn-based combat, or at least in a sense. Basically at the top of the screen you have a timeline, and when you choose an action it's going to add to this, so both you and your enemies are actually moving in unison with one another. The average over on Metacritic right now though, the score is sitting around 80%, and I love the visual style they've gone for. I just question how many out there will not be happy that this is kind of like a slow-paced methodical take on the name that could have very easily been some fast-paced third-person action shooting. I'm down though, I'm going day 1 absolutely. Another one that has my attention, 9 Witches Family Disruption, seems to pay homage to the great Indiana Jones adventures of back in the day. You're taking on the role of an occult specialist and his assistant to infiltrate a secret division of the Third Reich, and it seems to have a very strange sense of humour. Some seriously nice pixel work on show here, but what it seems to be is an old school point and click adventure, but you're given free control over your character's movements rather than that traditional cursor on screen kind of setup. The penultimate game of the week then, Fire Emblem, Shadow Dragon and the Blade of Light. This is the entry that basically started the legacy. It's finally been localized for the first time ever for North America. Here you're going to be following Marth on an adventure to save the kingdom as you recruit a band of heroes and just get to work. This is no question for those of you that like their retro, as it's still rocking that same 8-bit Famicom style. Really, the only additions outside of translation seem to be a save state and rewind functionality. With 50 heroes though, 20 classes, there's just tons to explore. I'm excited to check it out. My only issue, it's another one of these limited time only games, meaning supposedly like Mario's 35th outing, this will actually be removed from the eShop come March 31st, 2021, and that just seems stupid to me. The final game of the week then, and for me the most exciting by far, Commandos 2 HD Remastered. Not a cheap game, that's for sure, considering its age, but if you've played this before you're going to know it contains a ton of content. This is 10 missions over 9 different environments, probably one of my personal favourite real-time strategy titles from my youth. I adored both entries, so honestly it's just good to see them back at it. Here though, you get a mission, you get an objective, but how you tackle it really is up to you, and that's the beauty of this series, the freedom it gives you in choice. With a new UI, new tutorial, reworked controls, and then of course, you know, those shiny new graphics, really hopeful this will be a great addition to the library. Hopefully it all works handheld too, because it's easy for a game like this just to miss when a complicated UI and all that good stuff is involved. There's definitely some hate on this one right now online, but just know the embargo isn't up until the end of the week, so do be wary what you listen to there. And the price, expect close to 30 hours of gameplay here, and that's not even completing everything, if that's going to make that decision a little bit easier for you. I will be dropping a review on this one, but this is not any sort of commentary on how it plays. I'm literally installing it today to get to work on it. With that though, this is by far the best week we've seen in some time, like Immortals, Commandos, Sam & Max, Empire of Sin, and then a ton of, let's face it, what could potentially be absolute like indie gems. With that though, a shout out to the patrons of the channel who are just going above and beyond to support SwitchCorner. Helps more than you know, so thank you all so much. If you do want to check that out for yourself, I have linked it in the video description down below. Then hit subscribe if you love the Switch as much as we all do here. Join our growing family, and I'll see you all on the next video. Thanks everyone.